The July 4th sale continues at Premier Heating and Air. Get a free programmable Wi-Fi thermostat with the purchase of any new heating and air conditioning system, with payments starting as low as $89 a month. Call Premier Heating and Air today at any of our convenient locations. This offer absolutely ends July 31st. And remember, less than perfect credit is no problem with Premier Heating and Air, a locally owned and operated company.
Welcome everybody. I'm glad to have with me today Sheriff Larry Dean, and I always love coming out. There's always good things going on at the Sheriff's Department. And let me tell you, Larry, it's amazing. I was in Jackie's office a little while ago looking at the cards on the couch in her office of people that are thanking the sheriff deputies for different things. And I know they'll go eat at a restaurant and people just pay their bill and walk out, you know. You got to admit, number one, you got a great staff. Number two, you have a great community that supports the Lawrence County Sheriff Department.
Yes, sir, and we've actually got a church that's adopted our deputies. In other words, they come out here and got a list, and they actually individually pray for each deputy every day, and we do just have wonderful support from our communities, especially our churches and our public in general.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is, because, you know, you talk to a lot of sheriffs, and it ain't like that everywhere.
No, sir. Right now, Lawrence County still has the support of its citizens, and that's great. A lot of our cities and larger cities, and even some of our smaller towns, don't have the kind of support that Lawrence County Sheriff Office does.
And it shows up, you know, it's one thing to pay people, it's another thing to let them know how much they're appreciated. And
right.
I know that's important to you.
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, the deputies, my command staff and the deputies at the Lawrence County Sheriff's Department for what has made this Sheriff's Department. I mean, I walk out in the public and I get praised. They say, "Sheriff, you're doing a great job." I said, "No, let me tell you where my staff is doing a great job. They the ones that made us shine. It's individual deputies, command staff. We try to create an atmosphere where it's a pleasure to come to work and just people enjoy trying to do this type of work."
Yeah. I told you was in my office the other Friday, and I told you I had witnessed the most amazing thing right downtown Dublin. Old man and woman, their van tore up, and a Lawrence County Sheriff deputy pulls up, blocks the intersection to keep them safe because they're out of the vehicle. And I watched that deputy push that vehicle all the way up into the First Baptist Church parking lot there by Marsh Bank. And didn't just push it up there, pushed it under a shade tree.
Yes.
So, you know, the man was going to work on it to see if he'd get it going. But that, to me, you really can't train that. I know training's important, and y'all do a lot of training. But it's hard to train things like that. That's somebody that really cares about protecting and serving the citizens
well,
of the county.
That's the purpose of deputy. We to protect and serve the community. And the Sheriff's Office, that's our goal here, to protect as many people as we can and to serve the public in every way that we can.
Okay, since you become sheriff, you promised this when you first got elected, before you got elected, but you was going to fight for pay, better pay for these deputies. Well, you went to the mat a bunch of times, and even your command staff, you may not want me to say this, but even because one of your command staff told me that they gave up part of their income to match some things that you're already doing, like the jailers, versus when you took office, they're making $10,000 more a year.
Yes, sir.
That's a lot of money.
You're right. Well, you know, inflation has eaten up a lot of that, but if we hadn't have got those kind of raises for them, we would be really behind the eight balls. But it's just been amazing to me that at one time when our jailer pay was when I took off as a sheriff, our jailer pay was $26,000. We've been able to get that raised up to $38,000. Now, we had to have some help from our commissioners.
Yeah.
The Lawrence County commissioners have worked excellent with me. We go in there, and every time they see me come as a sheriff, "What you want now?" But it's just, I said, "Well, I'm taking care of my people.
Yeah.
And if you take care of your people, they'll take care of you."
Yeah. And it's not like you're going in there asking for yourself. You're fighting for these people that are fighting for us, and they go out, you know, at 2 o'clock in the morning. We want a deputy. I saw on the news this weekend, or it was yesterday, where it took a deputy 2 hours to get to the scene of a citizen that had called in. It don't take no 2 hours. It don't take long at all to get those deputies where they need to go.
Well, one reason that we have a good response time is we try to keep a deputy stationed in. We have 3 zones: east side, north side, and the south zone, and we try to keep a deputy posted in that area at all times where he can. It seems like a lot of times, you know, when somebody says, "Well, the deputy took him 10 minutes to get there," well, you know, you could be at the lower end of your zone and got 20 miles to travel to respond to it. So we've actually added some deputies to the patrol where we have more people out, and we actually have 6 deputies patrolling at all times now.
I remember in not so distant a past that you only had a couple deputies on at night, and if he's in Cedar Grove and somebody needs him in Rockledge or vice versa,
Right.
That's a long way.
That's a long ways across this county. But like I say, with the help of the Lawrence County Commissioners and just us going and asking for it, we've been able to accomplish that. We got more people on patrol, and we actually added resource officers to our school. Which the resource officers, we take our older cars and pass them down to our resource officers, but you got all these resource officers traveling back and forth to different parts, and it's more available. Now, where they're in uniform, they can make an arrest. Now, we try to concentrate on letting the patrol deputies answer the major calls, but anytime a resource officer is traveling to and from the school or going back home or whatever, they can respond to any call at any time.
I love it. My grandkids, and yours are too, are in these schools, and to see those guys, and I'm on the east side, but to see multiple sheriff cars sitting out there. And not only that, but I love the signs out front. They're not there for show, but those signs say, we have armed teachers, and they're willing to do whatever they have to do to protect our children.
Yes, sir. And, you know, when we're one of the first counties in the state to actually arm teachers in Georgia. And, you know, when we first introduced this program through Dr. Brigham, it was a lot of controversy. You had fathers and sons that said, hey, if I want to be a policeman or deputy, they'd went to school to be a policeman. But you think about it, with the instances that's happened throughout this nation, most of the instances where people are killed in the first 3 minutes of it. Mm. We actually have armed teachers in our schools, approximately 57 or 8 armed teachers that can protect those students. Instead of having to crawl behind a desk, we put them through an extensive training program. They can shoot on the firing range. We put them in scenarios where they have to go through total training. They actually use sim guns, like how to clear a building. So this program, when it first started, like I say, there was controversy between do we want it or do we not want it. But since this program has become effective and the people realize how much safer they are in their school, I feel like we have one of the safest school systems in the state.
I agree. And, you know, it's just a matter of time. It's not if, but it's when evil's going to lurk its head. And we got multiple people. When you got nearly 60 teachers, then you got more resource officers. You know, some things you might not be able to stop, but you can handle it quicker than it would have got handled.
Right. Now, actually, we have 8 full-time resource officers, and then Captain Bracewell fills in for them if somebody's out. In other words, we try to keep, when we got school in session, we try to keep a deputy sheriff at every location. Plus, I also encourage our deputies on patrol just to go through that parking lot. We'll never know how many times that if a bad guy's out there, you'll never know this number, but when they ride through that school and see just human nature, if they see a deputy's car, they might decide this is a hard target. We don't need to hit it.
We're going somewhere else.
We're going somewhere else. And that's the projection that we're trying to do.
And the deputies are so visible. I mean, even 10, 12, 15 years ago, you did not see, and I've told you this in private, but up by my house at Bethlehem Church, you know, I probably every day I see deputy or deputies sitting up there by the church, and the bad guy's not going to stop and victimize somebody, whether they're stealing a weed eater or whatever they're doing. They're going to go on down the road, probably to the sheriff down in Truland County.
Right. And it's all about visibility. Just human nature. I mean, you know, just like when you're riding down the road and you're speeding, the first thing you do is you look down at your speedometer to see if you're breaking the law. Well, if the bad guy's got something on his mind out in your neighborhood, patrolling around, or just walking through, and he sees that deputy in that area, he's going to say, "Hey, they may be looking for me."
Yep.
You know, a guilty person's always thinking, "Hey, the law's looking for me." You know, so that's
a good thing.
That's just a good thing.
Okay, let's take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.
Hey, I'm Heather Harrison.
And I'm Kim Bracewell.
And I've been a member of Fairview Fitness Center for 10 years.
And I've been a member for over 20 years.
We love taking the strength training class here. The energy from the teachers is just fantastic.
And also, I play racquetball and would love to have you come play racquetball with us.
So come join us at Fairview Fitness Center.
Allen's Heating and Cooling is your licensed Amana equipment dealer. Trust Allen's Heating and Cooling to install and service your heating and air conditioning unit. Allen services all brands, and with the purchase of a new unit, Amana offers a lifetime compressor warranty. Sean Clark or any of his friendly staff can help you today at Allen's Heating and Cooling. Your Amana dealer. Amana, last and last and last.
Welcome back, everybody. Continue my conversation with Sheriff Larry Dean, and there's no way we're going to touch everything, but I talked to the sheriff a couple of weeks ago, and talking to Alan and Stan. He was at a breakfast I was at recently. Just so many good things are going on here. There's no way we're going to cover them all, but I'm in the courthouse a lot now. I believe you've added a deputy up there, haven't you?
Yes, sir. We've added a deputy to the courthouse. And something else that I've done since I've been sheriff, I've tried to put a rank structure in every division. So we have a patrol division, crime suppression division, courthouse division, jail staff, investigative divisions. I've tried to put a command staff where there'd be supervision over everybody. And plus it's, you know, your senior people, they need somewhere. We use it for a promotion system, but you got to have supervision and have accountability for everybody. And since I've been sheriff, we've tried to get that accomplished.
You took me on a tour of the jail last year, maybe. You've done a lot of improvements back there.
Yes, sir. You know, the jail was built in 1991, and there hadn't been any major improvements to our jail. And we went to our commissioners and said, hey, we need a new booking area. Well, people that's coming in to get fingerprinted for gun-toting permits and all that was having to actually go back in our booking area back there. So we actually moved the fingerprintable thing up to our courtroom up front there in our lobby, where people that come in to get their gun-toting permits, they can actually be fingerprinted right there.
And you got a $1.6 million grant. Now, that's a lot of money around my house.
Hey, it's a lot of money in anybody's house. I've had other sheriffs calling me and said, Sheriff, where in the world did you come up with that grant? I said, well, it was in the governor's budget. There was money they had left over. And the key to that is I had a training officer. We actually put on a field training officer, full-time field training officer, Cody Edge, and he has researched it and got it. And we actually, when we put in for this budget to get this thing, we thought it was just a wish list. We put in for 3 K9 units that's fully funded. He got that. We were sitting down. We was just sitting around the table there discussing about what all of the different things we were going to get for the county. And it was just really a wish list. And we ended up with new car cameras, new flock cameras, taser. And then they even added 10% to it to give us the 2 years to spend that. And like I say, I had surrounding sheriffs call me and said, Sheriff, where did you get that? I said, I got a good man, training officer that knows how to research and find those grants. And we landed that. And it was fortunate that our tasers had just become extinct. In other words, the taser people said, we're no longer going to cover the liability on our tasers. Well, this grant filled that block. So we saved the taxpayers money for just getting that. And this is a grant, and no money has to be paid back. It's a total grant.
I hope Cody got a raise now.
We give him a little small raise, but nothing compared to
1.6 million. But Cody, I knew who he was, but never met him. We were in a meeting at Mental Health here last month. Stan was there, Cody was there, and I'd never met him that day. But he's a sharp guy. Right. The guy knows what he's doing. That's how he got that 1.6 million.
Yes, sir. And just like he's our field training officer. See, to get somebody even in mandate school, you have to jump through this hoops, and you have to have people that's sitting there. It's really mind-boggling the number of hours and man hours it takes to actually reach out to post to get everybody certified. You have to pass a physical fitness test to be a mandated officer now. Years ago, you could send somebody up to the training facility and, you know, if he could walk,
Fog a mirror.
right? He could get mandated. But now, the standards have been set higher, and that's what we're looking for: good quality people. And like I say, when we bring a new hire on, even if he comes from another county, if he's a 2 or 3 year officer, not a veteran, we still put him through our training program. We want to try to all our deputies to be on the same sheet of music.
And training's important to you. It's like you got somebody going training all the time. I know you send them to Forsyth. You had the instructor from Forsyth at the training ground there. You had one of them come here.
Right.
Sid retired, but he's back part-time, half-time, whatever he's working, still training our teachers.
Right. He's still training our teachers. He's being
Hit
supplemented by the
maneuvers,
school
probably.
board, and we're using him here for our training too.
Yeah.
And we actually hired Steve Burton, was a firearms instructor at Georgia Public Training Center. He's actually back now in one of our resource officers and helping with our SWAT team or whatever, special response team. He's actually teaching that too. So
Wow.
he's a valuable asset. He's actually a certified post instructor from Gypstick.
You've assembled a great team, though.
I've tried to, but it goes all back to the people. When I got this office of sheriff, I've been sheriff 7 years now, and I'm learning something every day, and it's just amazing to me how much information there is to grasp. In other words, I have a captain at our jail, I have a captain at the courthouse, I have a captain on the patrol. I promoted 2 people to majors. With the mindset of the public today, having new rookie officers out there, I tried to put some more supervision over them, whether it be lieutenants and majors and all, looking at these individuals, trying to keep from making mistakes. Like I say, we try to keep out of just like everybody wants to sue the law enforcement people.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're trying to put as much training out there to the field officers and have that senior officer out there where he'll know what's going on. And I actually put my captains and lieutenants in white shirts, because if you're on a scene and you just know that man wearing the white shirt is the senior man on the field. The
Nobody
sergeant may
has
be
to
running
try.
the show,
Yeah.
but if the public out there and realizes there's a major scene going on, they know the man with the white shirt on is the senior man on the scene.
Now, I've been around this law enforcement center for many years now. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I should have asked you this, but I never remember a rank structure before, but you have added this rank structure to do things like you're talking about, better pay, and to reward guys who, I mean, Chris Bracewell, how long, he's been with the Orange County Sheriff's Office for 30 years maybe?
33 or 34 years now. And my chief deputy Stan Wright's been here actually 34 years.
Yeah, you can't go out if they left. You cannot go out and replace people like that.
Right, you just can't replace that experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll come back and wrap things up.
Jason services cars well at Dublin Chevrolet.
Eli sells cars well at Dublin Chevrolet.
Rob Houston sells cars well at Dublin Chevrolet.
Dylan sells cars well at Dublin Chevrolet.
We do cars well every day at Dublin Chevrolet.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dustin Gay. I'm a local orthopedic surgeon with Houston Clinic Orthopedics, and we'd really like to invite everybody to come out to our new office facility to take a look at it. It's a larger space with physical therapy, and we're just excited to have it, and we'd love for people to come out and visit us.
Come by and see us today at our brand new location, the Houston Clinic, Medical Drive in Dublin.
Welcome back, everybody. We want to kind of wrap things up here. I'm with Sheriff Larry Dean. You've added body cameras. I don't remember seeing, we may have had some, but you have added those body cameras, and why is that?
Well, it's to protect the officer and the public. In other words, when people complain against the deputy sheriff, I can go back and pull up a body cam and actually look at the total incidents that happened out there. And most agencies all over this nation, everybody's wearing body cams, and that's just the important part. It's a tool. It makes the officer more conscious of dealing with the public, and it lets the public know that when they come in here and make a complaint or whatever, that they need to be legitimate.
Seems like every other week I'm getting an email from y'all. There's been another federal indictment. What is the reason you're bringing the feds in on ATF, FBI, whatever, Justice Department?
We joined the Okmulgee Task Force about 3 years ago. I actually had two different guys working with DEA. Well, first of all, when you work with DEA, you make so many contacts. You draw in other resources. You draw in ATF, DEA. When you work in these cases, drug cases and all, it takes numerous man hours to do that, and you have support of multiple agencies with these. And our last case that Lieutenant Burris worked for us, we had 17 indictments and 17 convictions on drug cases. And that's just kind of amazing to get, and basically every one of them pled. And we've actually worked about 3 major wires since I've been sheriff, and we willing to bet that over 90% of everybody that we did got convicted. And that's just a win-win all the way around.
Yeah.
Because the drug culture has totally changed the way you used to work drugs. You used to put a man on the street and you go and do undercover and all that. Now you have to, it's way more extensive to get a conviction now.
Yeah, and with this new gang law, the governor and the legislature, thanks to Matt Hatchett, Senator Walker, people like that, we've got some bite in it when we sentence them under those new gang guidelines. They're going to serve a certain amount of time.
Right. A lot of times your gang charges brings you 5 to 10 more years of time when you get a conviction and they got gang-related activity.
Okay, I know I'm asking a lot of questions about people, but you're only as good as your people, no matter what you run, TV station, watermelon stand, sheriff department. You're only good as your people. You talked about getting their pay up, by tens of thousands of dollars, but you've also, I know you've been working on retirement. You dropped it from 65 down to 62.
Right. And thanks to the Lawrence County Commissioners, they went along with that because, when a man is age 65, if he hadn't made rank or a lot ever, he don't need to be out there doing hands-on fighting with these 20-year-olds and 25 and 30-year-olds. And thanks to our county commissioners, they did reduce that down to that age. And I'm still working on that. It's like I think our retirement pans out about 1% a year for the number of years you worked here. We offer a 401k, but when a man's making a minimum salary, it's kind of hard for him to put up money for a long-term retirement, unless you got special planning or really at the top of your game. You don't have a whole lot of money when you're raising your family to put retirement in. And most young people don't start looking at retirement when they're in their 20s and 30s. Yeah. And then they got to get on about 35 or 40, and then they're saying, oh, I need to do this. So I'm still going to work with our county commissioners and try to get our retirement base for all the Lawrence County employees a little better.
You mentioned a while ago, you're learning every day. There's something new out there. I know you got manuals on your desk. I'm looking over there, all kind of case law and different things. Being a sheriff is a very tough job. Did you realize, I know you wanted it, but did you realize when you was first running?
No, sir. I was a conservation ranger for 25 years, and becoming the sheriff of the county, there's much more responsibility. And I'm still trying to stay available to the sheriff. My wife asked me one day, says, when are you going to quit working these 60 and 70-hour weeks? I said, well, I campaigned on that I'd be available to the public. I try to be. A lot of times people will call here, and I won't be in the office, but I'm allowed to be 2 minutes away or 3 minutes away. I still want to be a sheriff for the people if you need to talk to me. But most of the time, when a lot of times come in, I have to go to that individual captain or lieutenant that's over that division and say, hey, this is the problem. Let me hear your expertise on it. And every time, the laws are constantly changing. The legislature every year passes new laws, You have to stay updated on it. The traffic division, just like I was talking one day the other day about a super speeder. Well, a super speeder on a divided highway plus as a single road highway is totally different.
Wow.
So you have to keep up with all these laws. The same with the court system about getting a bond. Is you want to bond somebody out of jail. I don't think I've come in here any day that I hadn't learned something new about it. But the main thing is, I feel comfortable with the staff that I've got now. I've got a chief deputy, and I've added 2 majors, and I've added lieutenants over these shifts that oversee these. I'm gonna still call them rookies, but I've got some good deputies out there, and my deputies and my command staff is what has made the Lawrence County Sheriff Department.
Amen.
And I'm proud of my record. I'm going to seek another term, but that's down the road. That's still
right.
about 10 or 12 months away. I'll just worry about that when that time comes.
You got plenty to worry about between now and then.
Yes, sir. There'll be. I promise you, before this day is over with, I'll have 4 problems that I'll have to solve.
Before we close, I got to go back to training. Training is so important to you. I know that. I hear it in the halls where you're not around. I hear the guys, because when you invest in your people, it makes them more productive. They're more proud of what they do. And I was hearing a while ago, you sent 3 or 4 guys to Michigan. Now, that's serious about training, brother.
Well, there was a program up there about drug interdiction, how to do drug interdiction on our local highways and all that. So we sent some people out. I've actually got a person that started with me when I was sheriff that come on with me that started out as a secretary is now a sergeant over investigation. So we've offered training. If there's a training school and our budget will let you go, we try to send them to it. In other words, any officer that comes to me, matter of fact, if my captains or command staff don't allow somebody some training, they have to give me an explanation why we can't afford to send them to it.
Last thing, I know you moving and shaking. You don't let no grass grow under your feet. There's no doubt. But I heard a guy say the other day, he said, I cannot believe how accessible our sheriff is. You can't be here all the time, but you're close enough you can get to him or return the call or whatever. But I know that was important to you coming in. You wanted to be accessible to the citizens of this county.
Right. And now my phone don't even ring here. My cell phone rings. 478-488-1974. That number's out there. If I don't answer it right then, if you call back, I'll respond to it just as soon as I can.
I can vouch for that, or text him and let him know what's going on, and let him know it's not urgent or it is urgent, one or the other.
And I'm still old school. Call me. I don't mind getting texts, but I've got a message on my phone about every week. I get 300 messages.
Woo.
And I have to go through those and delete them. Now, a lot of it is junk mail where I've been off to the training centers and somebody's wanting to sell you stuff, but I get a lot of people, and when I'm sitting there flipping through my phone trying to delete all those messages, I still say, if you want to speak to the Lawrence County Sheriff, call me on my phone. If you don't get me then, turn around and recall it additionally, and I'll answer you. It may take me a few minutes. I may be in a meeting that I can't interrupt, but I will respond back to you.
Or it could be you just never know what's happening in a general day.
Right.
But, well, before we close, is there anything you want to add before we go?
I appreciate the citizens of Lawrence County elected me as sheriff of Lawrence County. I want to thank my deputies, my command staff, my jailers, everybody, my secretaries, my courthouse staff, my jail staff. Everybody has made it's a big system, and that we all have to work together. And I've tried to create an atmosphere at the Lawrence County Sheriff Department where that it's a pleasure to come to work. I stand behind my men. I stand behind my secretaries. I stand behind the court system in Lawrence County.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Enjoy talking with you. I enjoy coming out to the Sheriff Department. You run into all kind of people in these halls, and they're working. They're working, I'm telling you. So there's a lot of things going on at the Lawrence County Sheriff Department. Thank you for joining us today right here on TV 35.